Hi, I am the Box Office Wizard bringing you weekend box office predictions and movie review. For today's show, I'm going to give you an update on Beat the Expert and see how I did against the other experts in last weekend's box office. Also give you a recap of last week's box office on how it performed, and also give you my predictions as well. Movie news on Star Wars The Force Awakens, James Bond, Logan, and also King Kong. And last but not least, follow up on my segment of Bottom of the Barrel where have been talking about Warcraft. So, Beat the Expert for the week. I had an absolute terrible week. The movie that killed me the most was Monster Trucks. I don't remember which way it is. So, but anyways, this movie I really did not think it would do nothing, and it just killed me. Overall, though, I still squeaked out third place. Recap: box office profits finished at 67.2%. I came in third at 67.6%. Second was Box Office Mojo at 76.1%, and finishing in first was Box Office Pro at 77.9%. Overall, though, numbers are going to change a lot here in the first few weeks because there's not as many out there right now, and it's going to be up and down for everybody. But overall, though, Box Office Pro leads at 78.9%. Second place is Box Office Mojo at 78.7%. I'm in third at 77.3%, and at the bottom is Box Office Profits at only 70.4%. So it's a pretty tight race for 1, 2, 3 right now. So I'm hanging in there. I'm not concerned yet. So it's only mid-January. So sorry I did not do a video this past week. I kept looking for the numbers Tuesday. I looked for them Tuesday night. I looked for them Wednesday morning, and they just kept saying it was estimates on the link that I was using on Box Office Mojo, and I finally clicked on it Wednesday afternoon and noticed that the actual numbers had been, the header had just not been changed. So I apologize for that, but what I'm going to kind of do is I go through the predictions here, kind of just give you a quick update on the movies that are still in the top 10 that I'm giving a prediction for, and we'll go from there. So number 10 this week will be Sleepless. It debuted last week at $8.3 million for the 3-day weekend. It's just one of those cops and robbers movies that just apparently it's the wrong time. People just seem to be turned away from this this genre or this action thriller type right now. I kind of thought of 999 last year, which was an okay movie. I'm just surprised that they're performing so poorly though. I think it's going to have another tough weekend, and I'm going to put it in at only 4.35 for this coming weekend. 9, I'm going to put Monster Truck Sim. Had a good weekend last weekend. Overall, it debuted at $11 million for the 3 days, $14 million for the 4-day weekend. Surprised me. I still don't think it looks that good. If you've seen it, let me know. But I'm just not impressed with it. I'm kind of, it's not that I'm tired of these movies, but it's just one that I definitely won't see. I think it'll have an okay weekend again here compared to last weekend. It's going to see probably about 50-60% drop. I'm going to put it in at $5.75 million for this coming weekend. Next is The Bye Bye Man. I think it'll come in around number 8. This was the only new movie that I said would do good last weekend, and lo and behold, it did very well. It actually finished at $13.5 million for the 3 days, $15 million for the 4 days. I think it was a 4th place finish overall for the 3-day weekend, so great start to it. Obviously, it'll have a bigger drop this weekend. But with a $7.4 million budget, they did very well. They just pretty much got to recap some of their advertising costs. But I do think this movie will have another decent weekend at $6.2 million. Next will be the movie Patriots Day. I'm going to put it in at it had a 3-day weekend last year of $11.6 million. I think it'll drop in half to about $6.4 million for this coming weekend. And like I said last week, and I still think it now, I don't think this is a good time to be playing this movie right now. You had the inauguration today. I really think it's kind of a distraction. I think it's too soon as well with this tragedy that just happened a few years ago. I think they needed to wait on that as well. But it wouldn't surprise me if there's another movie or two in the works, a few years down the road about the same topic here, whether it be a Netflix movie or Hulu or whatever else. So I do see this movie dropping off the radar very quickly after this next weekend, and it wouldn't surprise me that it's video by the end of March. So, which it's just happens so fast anymore on how they do put the movies back out. It used to be 6-9 months before you even heard that it may be coming out on Blu-ray DVD. Now they're popping up in 3 months after they hit the theater. So, which is good and bad. So, Next, I'm going to put the movie Sing. Had a really good weekend last weekend. Finished number 3 for the 3-day. Finished in number 2 for the 4-day holiday weekend, so it did very well. Either way you want to go with it, had another great weekend. I do see it having about a 45 to 50% drop this coming weekend. And I'm going to put it in at $7.8 million for this coming weekend. Finishing in 5th this weekend, I'm going to put Rogue One. I think it had another great weekend at $13.5 million. It's now at $504 million here in the U.S., $482 million overseas. It's got a great chance of crossing over $1 billion this weekend. Kind of depends on how some of the international markets will go. One thing that did surprise me was that this movie had a good debut in China at I think it was $32.7 million. Second weekend, though, it really struggled to only $9 million. So that was a huge drop for this movie, though. But overall, though, I think it will have a good weekend again at $7.8 million. Finishing in 4th will be La La Land. This movie just continuing to tear up the box office. Last weekend, $14.5 million for 3 days, $17.7 million for the 4-day weekend. It'll continue to stay hot. I think this movie will continue to do this until have great weekends until at least after the Oscars are done for sure. So it's really hard to say how much it's going to drop. This movie's just been so hard to predict every week. I don't see it losing that much ground this week. I'm going to put it in at $11.3 million. Finishing in 3rd this coming weekend, I'm going to put Hidden Figures, drop from number 1. 2 great weekends. Another weekend coming up for it as well. Last week it had $20.9 million for the 3-day weekend and $27.5 million for the 4-day. So big numbers for it. It's now at $66 million overall here in the U.S., so I see it continuing to add a whole lot to that. What's kind of neat too, this movie actually had a 9-day drop for the 3-day weekend compared to the weekend before. Of course, it was a holiday weekend, but still, that's pretty good. So I'm going to put it at a 30% drop this weekend. I'm going to put it in at $14.6 million for this coming weekend. Finishing number 2 will be Triple X, brand new movie, The Return of Xander Cage. Just to recap, the first Triple X movie came in at $44.5 million in 2002. I can't believe it's been 15 years almost. So I was just blown away when I saw that. I go, has it really been that long? Second one, obviously, didn't debut as well because it came in at $12.7 million. Different lead, Ice Cube, who I absolutely love. But they just not take to him. So I think this movie will pick back up some steam. Vin Diesel still got a great following here in the U.S. Huge following overseas as well. Not sure if it will be for this movie because the Fast and Furious everybody just absolutely loves, no matter how good or bad they are. So I do think it won't do $45 million this coming weekend though, but it should have a very good weekend. Have a great start. Decent to great anyways. It's got an $85 million budget. I'm going to put it in at $22.8 million for this coming weekend. Finishing in number 1 this week, I'm going to put the movie Split. M. Night Shyamalan, if I even said it right, which I doubt I did. Love his movies. Every time I try to say his name, I get it wrong. So last movie that he had come out was The Visit. Did okay. I couldn't remember exactly what movie he had last, so I know he's had some struggles with how movies have performed. They've kind of been up and down. So, but overall, though, you're going to get a great movie. And, 23 personalities is what I remember right for this guy. Can't go much better than that. I can't predict 23 million because of a million for each personality, but I am going to go with 26.1 million for this coming weekend. So, movie news, Star Wars The Force Awakens, first movie I want to talk about. In case you haven't seen it, there's actually a deleted scene out there that just showed up. If you search it, it looks like it's been out there for a couple months, but I just heard about it like 2 or 3 days ago, where Chewbacca's in a bar scene, and where they're at Maz Kanata's bar and so forth, and there's the guy from, it's been a while since I've seen The Force Awakens, where the guy's giving Rey a hard time. Well, Chewie and the guy end up getting into it, so I'm not going to say any more than that, but check it out, look it up, and it just really surprised me that they actually even considered doing a scene like this movie. So, but it's pretty interesting. So look that up. The deleted scene with Chewbacca. So, next, James Bond. It really looks like Daniel Craig is not going to be playing James Bond anymore. It continues to come up. He has not said yes or no, but Tom Hardy's name comes up in the mix, and he was actually just asked again this past week, "Are you going to be the next James Bond?" And his response was, "If I answer this, I won't be James Bond." So, kind of an interesting answer, but at the same time, it doesn't really reveal much. But at the same time, though, it really looks like that they are going to be moving on. But really surprised me. I figured Daniel Craig will at least finish up the Bond 25, which I'm really still hoping. But actually, I'm not against Tom Hardy doing it either. So next was Logan came out, and actually, I'm sorry, 2 trailers came out for Logan here, and it sounds like that these are going to be the last 2. Going to be a very interesting movie. I did read one other article on the movie that they said the first 40 minutes of this movie is very intense. A lot of fighting, a lot of blood scenes. Obviously, they were digging in that R rating for sure, but they do say that it's just phenomenal. So for those that have seen what little has been put out, so just thought I would pass that along. Look for those trailers as well. I think I did put one of them on my Facebook page as well. So, and last but not least here, King Kong. Skull Island has dropped 4 trailers today. They pretty much didn't reveal a whole lot more, but they do give you a few little extra scenes in each one of them that if you watch it long enough, they're only about 45 seconds each. So, but either way, though, I did put the link on my Facebook page for those as well if you want to check those out. So, bottom of the barrel. I had posed the question of why Warcraft did so poorly in the U.S. and it did so well over in China. And obviously there's some obvious answers with China having such a huge following of this game, a lot of their subscribers to the game for so many years. So I kind of posed that question out there to see what people's thoughts were, and one answer that I got from Brian that I did like was, they just wait too long to actually make these movies compared to how long the game had been out. I had to look it up because I absolutely know nothing about Warcraft other than seeing the movie. And it came out in 1994 was the first movie, or I'm sorry, the first game, and it just really surprised me that that they've waited this long to make a movie though. So with that said, and also you have Assassin's Creed as well, which they've kind of done the same thing. They haven't waited as long, but I still think they should have gotten out a lot sooner. I think another reason why it did so poorly here and did so well over there is the appeal. Like I said, I knew nothing about it, but yet when I saw the trailer, I'm like, hey, that's a movie I want to see. When I watched this movie, I actually felt like I was watching almost when I watched Battlefield Earth. I'm like, I liked it, but what was that? And if you've seen Battlefield Earth, you're kind of like, okay, it's okay, it's decent to good. Some may disagree with me, but I'm just going with what my opinion is. And I liked it, but it was hard for me to relate who the characters were, remembering who the characters were, and where's the story going to go from there. So so those were kind of the things that I felt with it as well. And then last but not least though is I think there just wasn't enough time for the first movie when I watched it. There was talks that they wanted to do a trilogy when they started this. Obviously that's going to be difficult at this point, for at least for the US. There is rumors that they're going to make a China production of this movie and make it English kind of a secondary priority. So, but either way, though, if you knew who the characters were, it might have been more appealing just for you. For those that may not know much about it, just introducing the characters instead of just kind of going right into the storyline might have helped it a little bit more as well. Overall, though, I thought it was a decent movie. So, those are my thoughts on it. I do thank those for giving their opinion on it as well. So, hey, that's it for today's show. Get your predictions in now. Put those in the comments below. Don't forget to check out my Facebook page as well. Please like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell anybody else. I really greatly appreciate it. For those that are subscribing, I picked up a few more. Greatly appreciate that as well. And I'll be back on Monday giving you predictions you can count on. They're better than the weatherman. Take care.